When templates replace judgment. You can feel it when the checklist is done, but the work still isn't. Approvals pass, dashboards turn green, and the problem remains. Meetings multiply to confirm the template, not to confront the situation. When standardization replaces local judgment, coordination becomes a proxy for reality, and the incentive shifts from solving the problem to satisfying the form. By standardization, I mean a shared template of categories and steps used to make many different cases look the same so they can be processed at scale. Standardization enters as a bargain, trade variety for predictability. The stated goal is coordination, fewer surprises, faster handoffs, comparable reports. But the mechanism is deeper. A template is a constraint. It limits what can be said, what counts as evidence, which actions are permitted, and which stories are allowed to exist. That constraint has benefits. A shared checklist reduces the cognitive load of deciding from scratch. A common category system lets people coordinate without long explanations. A standard approval flow reduces the cost of trust by making due process legible. The system gains throughput and auditability. But every constraint creates a trade-off. What fits the categories moves quickly. What doesn't fit becomes invisible or expensive. The template quietly defines normal, and exceptions become a tax. Not always a formal tax. Sometimes the tax is attention, the extra email chain, the extra meeting, the extra waiting for someone authorized to deviate. Now add incentives. In most organizations, the people who design templates are rewarded for consistency, comparability, and risk reduction. The people who use templates are rewarded for speed, compliance, and avoiding blame. The easiest shared win becomes nothing unusual happened, rather than the right thing happened. Here the feedback loop tightens. If the dashboard looks stable, leaders trust the system. If leaders trust the system, they demand more reporting through it. If more work must be reported through it, more work is shaped to fit it. That is capture. Not dramatic, not sudden, but gradual. Capture is a gradient, not a cliff. Standardization also invites proxy drift. The template starts as a map of reality, then becomes the reality people optimize for. A common example, a team is measured on tickets closed per week, meant to indicate responsiveness. Soon the tickets get split into smaller pieces to inflate closure counts. Complex cases get avoided because they slow the metric. The dashboard improves, the actual service degrades, and the metric's success becomes evidence that the system works. Exceptions suffer most because they carry ambiguity. Ambiguity is costly in standardized systems. It can't be routed cleanly, it can't be compared cleanly, so the system pressures ambiguity to either disappear or be relabeled. The unusual customer becomes a standard case with missing details. The uncommon risk becomes out of scope. The real situation gets flattened into the nearest available checkbox. Even when exceptions are allowed, they are often handled as failures of the person, not limitations of the template. The burden of proof shifts. The local operator must defend deviation, while the template never has to defend conformity. That is the hidden asymmetry. Judgment must justify itself. Standardization just points to the policy. This is why standardization can feel like progress, while quietly eroding effectiveness. Predictability is gained, but reality is denied in small increments. Nuance trimmed, context deferred, responsibility outsourced to the form. The human cost is not only inefficiency, it is meaning. Local judgment is where responsibility lives, because judgment requires attention to the specific, this case, this time, these constraints, these people. When a template becomes the primary object of attention, responsibility migrates from understanding to compliance. Over time, identity follows attention. People begin to experience themselves as operators of categories rather than stewards of outcomes. The work becomes a performance for the system. The right fields filled, the right status chosen, the right risk label attached. Coordination looks smoother, but the relationship to reality thins. And because no system is neutral, the template encodes values. It privileges what is easy to count and easy to justify. It discounts what is hard to measure. Trust, craftsmanship, patience, discretion, care with edge cases. Those values don't disappear. They become externalities, paid for later by someone else when the flattened reality returns with interest. A disciplined reflection is available here. Name one metric, checklist, or category you currently serve as if it were the work itself. Then name one value, clarity, fairness, safety, learning, dignity, accuracy, that the same proxy might be erasing when an exception shows up. Notice the asymmetry in your own environment, which requires more explanation, following the template or departing from it, and notice what that asymmetry trains people to pay attention to. Standardization coordinates bodies, judgment coordinates with reality, and reality always collects its rent.